In Dredford's public library, Julio found himself consumed by worry for his wife. He glanced at the clock in front of him, shattered into irreparable pieces by his hand in a fit of rage. He felt frustrated and overwhelmed. The broken clock was a cold reminder to him that time was slipping away. She needed her medicine made from vampiric blood, and if she did not take it, cancer would claim her life soon. Every second counted. The sounds of someone approaching behind him cut through the somber silence. It was Candace, one of Van Arden's children, and an older sister of his sire, Hendrik. Since his sire was destroyed by the tower, she was tasked to be his teacher in Hendrik's stead. Her expression was stern, her eyes piercing as she regarded Julio with a serious gaze.
That antique has been in our family for more than 150 years. My father brought it from the old world as a reminder that time was of the essence for his mission, not unlike yourself, right now. It stood in the halls of Maria Theresa herself, in the days she was challenged by Frederick II.
I'm sorry. I'm worried sick about Christina. I did not think.
Exactly. You did not think. Is Christina back now that the clock is destroyed?
He silently fumbled for words.
You and her have cost this house dearly. Do you even realize that? House Ashk'Ari has invested a rare right to blood on you. We took Christina in and provided her with care despite her reluctance. And don't you forget we lost Hendrik because you needed to visit her at the hospital. You needed it.
But I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask for Christina's illness, nor Hendrik's death.
Oh, poor thing. Have you just realized that there are things in the cosmos that are out of your control? That's your problem, Bloodling. In your desperation to control what you can't, you fumble around making rash decisions that cost others, and still, you feel the need to soothe your ego by playing victim.
I just wanted to save my wife.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions, Julio. Have you ever thought that maybe she did not want to be saved if it meant to live like this?
He closed his eyes and felt overwhelmed by guilt as blood tears slowly stroked his face.
Regardless, it does not change the fact that our house has been paying a lot for you. Our leader, Van Arden, has been working tirelessly to earn another right of blood for Christina to help you. Yet, all we've received in return are complaints, refusal to comply with the treatment, and your inability to learn a meager second basic element of ars sanguinis.
I am trying. I'm doing everything I can.
No, you are not. Instead of listening to your sire and focus on your studies, you are off goofing around with your little posse setting the city on fire, which is basically all you can do. Even the element of color, the one element you know you can't use in more sophisticated manners.
He had no response. Indeed, the politics and investigations were clearly derailing his studies.
To destroy is easy. It takes clarity and iron will to persevere and create.
She approached the broken clock, and in a whisper she recited an incantation, followed by a gentle blow of air over the pieces, and the clock was fixed.
We are doing everything in our power to find your wife, but if she is found, are you going to be ready to do whatever must be done, or are you going to continue in this sorry state?
No, I won't.
Feeling the weight of her words, Julio retreated to his room with a heavy heart and a sense of resignation. The next night, Julio found himself in a much better shape as he stood before Candace's magical study within the library. He knocked on the door, and when he heard her voice telling him to come in, he resolutely stepped inside. The room had a huge blackboard filled with intricate diagrams and formulas. Candace was deeply engrossed in her work with a huge orange crystal as she recited an incantation and allowed 2 drops of her blood to touch it.
Candace, I've been thinking about what you said. I need to learn more, to become better.
Are you asking for my help?
Yes, I am. Will you teach me?
The woman nodded, pleased by Julio's determination.
Very well. But know that I expect nothing less than your full commitment. Take a seat.
As he took his place, she began to wipe the board in preparation for their lesson. However, Julio interrupted her.
Before Hendrik was destroyed, he was beginning to tell me a lesson he never got the chance to finish.
Is that so? What was he teaching you?
About the history of House Ashik'Ari.
She appeared to be moved by the revelation.
I see. I can complete Hendrik's lesson.
Candace's expression was somber as she began to recount the ancient tale. Her tone carried the weight of centuries-old secrets.
In the ancient land of Mesopotamia lived a wise man named Utnapishtim. renowned for his wisdom and resilience in the face of great adversity. He survived a great catastrophe that engulfed many. His tale had reached the ears of Tiamat, the first nosferatu. She was impressed and saw great potential in him. She sought him out and offered him a unique opportunity: immortality as the founder of a new house of nosferatu. He recognized the potential for greater knowledge and understanding that immortality could offer. So Utnapishtim accepted Tiamat's offer and embarked into the quest she gave him, becoming the founder of the House of the Owl. Or, as our house would be called for the time being, House Utnapishtim. Despite the allure of immortality, Utnapishtim found himself grappling with the complexities and challenges of his new existence. He soon realized that being a vampire came with its own set of risks and problems. Despite retaining his wisdom and intellect, he was increasingly tempted by the darker impulses that lurked within his undead heart.
So even though he was wise, he still struggled with his vampiric nature.
Exactly. He battled to reconcile his thirst for blood with his desire to uphold his moral principles.
Julio nodded, absorbing the weight of Utnapishtim's internal conflict. Something about it felt eerily familiar.
One of the foremost concerns that weighed heavily on his mind were the Nephilim. The power they have over him and the other nosferatu threatened to overwhelm his sense of reason and integrity. So he dedicated himself to studying the vampiric condition, striving to understand it better than anyone else. Some say he learned as much as Queen Tiamat. Some dared to say he learned even more. During this time, it was widely believed that magic was beyond the reach of nosferatu. Yet Utnapishtim defied convention. He delved into the depths of vampiric blood, unlocking its latent power and pioneering the development of ars sanguinis. His mastery over the vampiric essence was so profound that even the queen sought his knowledge in the arcane arts. His next step was to look for a way to shackle the Nephilim within him, to diminish its power and influence. Through a painstaking ritual, he succeeded in mitigating the severity of the Nephilim's presence within, but the victory came at a cost.
Julio leaned forward, eager to learn more, and Candace's expression grew grave as she continued the tale.
Ironically, in binding the Nephilim, Utnapishtim found his own thirst for blood magnified. His once subdued hunger for blood grew into an insatiable craving, a constant torment that gnawed at his immortal soul. The Ashk'ari are known for their unquenchable thirst, a trait that sets them apart from the other houses of the blood. You have a greater thirst than any nosferatu around your age, and you always will. For this reason, other houses are cautious about allowing too many Ashk'aris to reside in one place. We quickly become a significant drain on the blood supply.
Julio knew very well the immense thirst she was talking about. He drank a lot more blood than his companions, the other midnight fiends. Also, he spent a lot of blood in his practice of ars sanguinis, so he could see how the scarcity of blood could escalate exponentially.
This new insatiable craving made him very bitter with his immortality. He decided to turn into an hermit and rely not on his newfound powers as a vampire, but on the lessons of his past life as a mortal sage. There came a time when a warrior sought out Utnapishtim, yearning to uncover the secrets of immortality. Our founder, in his wisdom, cautioned the warrior against his pursuit. He spoke of the fleeting nature of mortal life, urging the warrior to cherish his humanity. After the warrior left, Tiamat came to visit him seeking his counsel. It turned into a debate. He warned her that she was threading a dangerous path and would lose herself to the Nephilim, as the other founders would also risk embarking on her plans. Tiamat was intrigued by his insight and questioned how he came to know of the Nephilim of the other founders. He proceeded to give her an explanation about each one of them. He spoke of visions, of whispers from the unknown, suggesting that their actions were not solely their own, but guided by unseen hands, perhaps even by forces beyond their comprehension. However, the queen would have none of it and urged him to join her and the other founders in their assault on the mages. Tiamat presented 3 compelling viewpoints to sway him. First, she invoked the memory of her murdered husband, Apsu, painting a vivid picture of the betrayal the mages had wrought. Second, she appealed to Utnapishtim's wisdom, highlighting the unchecked power and hubris of the mages. She knew he understood the dangers of any power that is for too long left unopposed. But it was the third reason that truly swayed him. Tiamat offered him the chance to shape the future of their kind, to become a teacher among the nosferatu. She promised he would have the opportunity to share his beliefs, vision, and knowledge, guiding the coming reign of the nosferatu towards a better path.
So it would be right to say that it was the prospect of influencing the future that drew him out of his isolation.
Indeed. Utnapishtim recognized that if the age of the nosferatu was inevitable, he had to ensure the secrets he had discovered were safeguarded and available, lest the Nephilim of the other houses go unchecked. So he agreed to help her on 3 conditions.
What were the conditions?
That's the thing, Julio. The specifics of those conditions have always been a matter of debate among his children. No one ever quite agreed on what they were. Some say it was to ensure the protection of certain secrets. Others believed it had to do with limiting Tiamat's influence. But whatever they were, the queen must have accepted them, because he stood by her side when she returned. In the aftermath of the first strike against the mages, the golden era of the nosferatu was established. Utnapishtim took the role of an intellectual. It said that he was the founder who least brought mortals into the blood, preferring to impart knowledge rather than immortality.
What about his children? What were they like?
Our Babelites were truly remarkable, each gifted with unique talents that contributed to the legacy of our house. The witch, known for her mastery of ars sanguinis. She worked alongside her sire to develop the intricate blood magic practiced within our house for millennia. The exorcist, gifted with the ability to banish creatures from other worlds and the strength to combat other supernatural powers. The astronomer, a brilliant mind in the natural sciences, was known for his genius in observing the stars and developing technologies far beyond his time. And finally, the teacher, a timeless symbol of wisdom and enlightenment, who was solely dedicated to advancing the understanding of metaphysics, ethics, and the pursuit of knowledge among both mortals and nosferatu. Our lodge, the House Ashk'Ari of Dreadford, came from the blood of the astronomer.
Our house and its founder, they go back so far. It's even hard to fathom. And ars sanguinis is such an intricate and detailed science. The depth of knowledge required to master it, it's astounding.
Candace's eyes narrowed slightly.
Insightful observations, Julio. But insight alone won't save you. You've mastered fire with ease, but your struggle with air is unacceptable. This isn't just about your personal growth. It's about survival. The 4 humors of ars sanguinis allow us to cast powerful magic, but they also affect us. Too much reliance on one element can have disastrous consequences. You are already showing signs of excessive use of color.
Julio looked down, feeling the weight of her words.
I didn't realize it was affecting me that much. I just felt the power of fire was easier to grasp.
Ignorance is no excuse. You must start balancing it immediately. The effects can become irreversible if ignored. After this lesson, we will focus relentlessly on your training until you master air as well as fire.
I understand. I will do whatever it takes to achieve balance.
Candace's expression softened slightly.
Good. Now, let's delve into another topic of our history: the origin of our house's name. In fact, ours was one of the first houses to abandon the name of its founder. It happened during the rise of the Persian Empire, long after the age of the founders. At that time, the Magi, a priestly caste led by mortal mages, waged war against our kind with fervor. They had created a special military unit. One of their captains was a man known today only as Lashkar.
Lashkar is a Persian word for troops and soldiers, isn't it?
Yes, that's the reason the word was used to identify him. Lashkar was among the best of the Magi's soldiers, tasked with hunting down and destroying members of the House of the Owl. The Magi despised our ars sanguinis, considering it a mockery. Lashkar, driven by a desire to become a mage himself, served the Magi with unwavering dedication. He hoped to be rewarded for his loyalty by being granted the gift of magic. But his dreams were shattered when he learned from a scholar that mortal mages could not turn others into mages.
To dedicate one's life to a cause, only to have it crumble before you, it must have been devastating.
Indeed. Consumed by despair and betrayal, Lashkar confronted the Magi, demanding answers. When his worst fears were confirmed, he retreated to the desert, seeking solace in solitude. In his darkest moment, Lashkar encountered Paranda, a member of our house who offered him a different path. He could make Lashkar into a mage, but not a mortal one. He could turn him into a nosferatu of the House of the Owl and teach him ars sanguinis. And of course, Lashkar accepted it. He was brought into the blood and rose to become one of the strongest among us. The hard work of the Magi and their troops had brought our house to the brink of extinction. But with his knowledge of the Magi's tactics, he led our house in a fierce counterattack. During the battle, the mages kept mocking him, telling he was no mage and was still just a Lashkar, for blood magic was no true magic. And when Lashkar, against all odds, secured his greatest triumph, he did something remarkable. He took the insult hurled at him by the Magi and embraced it. He made the insult his own, turning it into a symbol.
So the name Ashk'ari, it was born out of reclaiming dignity from scorn.
This happened a long time ago. It was the last age in which our house was unified. Over the centuries that followed, House Ashk'ari became synonymous with power, intellectuality, and arcane wisdom. Our members were renowned not only for their master of ars sanguinis, but also for their insatiable thirst for knowledge. We grew in number, bringing men and women of the mind into the blood. However, power breeds jealousy and conflict, and our house was not immune to internal strife. Rivalries and ambitions festered, leading to betrayal and treachery. This threatened to tear the house apart, and eventually, it did. House Ashk'ari split into several lodges. As time passed, these lodges drifted away from each other, pursuing their own paths and goals.
That's tragic. To see something so powerful fractured by internal conflicts.
Yes, but despite the challenges we face, the legacy of the House of the Owl endured. It continued to stand as a bastion of magical knowledge and arcane might. Its name, whispered in both reverence and fear by those who sought to harness the power of the supernatural. Sons and daughters of its blood, wielding ancient sorcery and dark secrets passed down through generations.
Candace gazed on Julio with an intensity that mirrored the weight of the tale she was about to share. Julio, eager to learn more about the intricate web of Nosferatu lore, listened intently.
There is one very famous vampire closely related to our bloodline, and her tale serves as a stark warning about the perils of ambition and the importance of restraint. Have you ever heard of Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess?
Elizabeth Bathory, a vampire?
Candace nodded.
Mortals often attribute only the latter years of her tale to her, but she is much older. Bathory was born around the 7th century near the Carpathian Basin. As a young woman, she was brought into the blood of House Ashik'Ari. Her aptitude for blood magic quickly became apparent. She possessed an insatiable curiosity and an unparalleled skill to learn our art. She accomplished something rare. She expanded our art in new directions and developed new rituals. Using her powers, she influenced mortals, playing their political games to accumulate power and prestige for her chosen figureheads. Accustomed to getting her way, she attempted something which was thought impossible for Nosferatu of our house. She made her grand ambition to reunify all the disparate lodges that had emerged since the time of Lashkar, to create a unified House of the Owl. Over centuries, she traveled across the known world, engaging in diplomacy, fighting adversaries, and bringing new Nosferatu into the blood. She offered secrets and the use of her powerful magic as incentives, manipulating the ambition of her allies and enemies alike. However, she was fiercely opposed by several lodges who cherished their independence. They would not bow to her ideal. This inner turmoil plagued our house for centuries, which only fueled Bathory's determination. She realized she would need more power to complete her goals. It was during this time that she developed and conducted immense blood rituals, reminiscent of the pagan rites of old.
So she resorted to bathing the blood of others?
Yes. She bathed in the blood of powerful mortals and nosferatu to enhance her own power, and in the blood of young women to enhance her beauty. Rivers of blood were shed in her infamous activities. By the late 16th century, Bathory had adopted the infamous identity that made her notorious among mortals. She retreated to her castle in Slovakia with her closest apprentices and children. There, she plotted something monumental, but she got careless, and her actions led to a severe risk to the theater. Mortals discovered the horrors she had committed. This prompted several king's courts to intervene and maintain the veil of secrecy and misdirection that protect our existence from being discovered by mortals. This was no longer considered a matter of internal politics of House Ashk'ari. All houses united to correct the situation. She was tried and convicted for her crimes. According to mortal records, she was walled into a room in her castle, where she supposedly died a few years later. For Nosferatu, it was decided that her apprentices at her castle were to be destroyed.
What really happened to her?
It is still argued to this day. Some believe she remains imprisoned deep within her castle, while others speculate she was destroyed.
Candace paused briefly, considering if she should continue.
Several lodges trace their lineage back to her bloodline, including ours here in Dreadford. She is the grandsire to Van Arden, and through him, she is one of your ancestors, along with his brother Arthur Walker and his child, our cousin, Valentina.
Julio's mind raced with the implications as he absorbed the information.
Hendrik told me our lodge was sent here for a vital mission. He said all our eternities rely on this mission being successful.
He told you about that, huh? Well, Van Arden was a Dutch privateer who served under a lodge headed by one of Bathory's children, Celine of Cinedanos. She harbored a long-standing grudge and engaged in a shadow war with a lodge from the Iberian Peninsula, whose most famous child is the Betrayer, the former king of Dreadford. When the Great Betrayal occurred, Celine sent Van Arden here with a mission to aid the city against members of the Lodge of the Betrayer. Our mission was to hunt and kill all Nosferatu who were part of it and affiliated with him.
Did they succeed in their mission? Hendrik seemed troubled when he spoke of it.
Yes, mostly. However, there were complications. You should not worry about this for now. Our lodge did assist the new council, which earned us a place in the King's Court of Dreadford, but with considerable reservations. Everyone was cautious about House Ashk'Ari after what the Betrayer had done. We work to this day to normalize our standing. And with this, we conclude the history lesson. The last teachings Hendrik passed to you are complete. Now we can proceed to the lecture on Ars Sanguinis. Today we study the humor of Erythros and the elusive element of air.
It was a grueling session of arcane theory and practice, but Julio was determined to see it through. They spent long hours practicing arcane incantations and studying old parchments. After Candace finished her lecture, she left Julio with a series of mystical exercises to practice alone. As the hours stretched on and the sun was almost rising, he still immersed himself in the intricate gestures and incantations that Candace had taught him. He focused intently, channeling his blood. The story of his house seemed to be immersed in ambition, magic, and blood. He considered his own ambition. The memory of Hendrik, his mentor who fell to the tower, weighed heavily on his mind. The image of Christina held at gunpoint flashed before his eyes, reminding him of the dangers they faced. His recent battle with the carrion eaters replayed in his thoughts, a testament to the perilous world he now inhabited. Amidst these memories, Julio felt a stirring within him, a deep-seated will fueled by a desire to protect those he loved. And then, in a moment of clarity, he felt it, the surge of energy, the subtle shift in the air around him. Julio had cast his first air spell. The incantation flowed from him with newfound confidence, and the air responded to his command. A gentle breeze stirred within the chamber, swirling around him in a testament to his mastery of his second element. For a brief moment, Julio stood in awe of his accomplishment, marveling at the power he now wielded.